Why is Russia invading Ukraine? Russia has launched a devastating air, land, and sea offensive on Ukraine, a 44 million strong European democracy. Its forces are shelling city centers and moving on into Kiev, Ukraine's capital, resulting in a major flight of refugees. For months, President Vladimir Putin denied that he would invade Ukraine, but then he ripped up a peace pact and launched Putin's war, sending troops into the country's north, east, and south. As the death toll rises, Russia's president is accused of having shattered European peace. What happens next might put the continent's whole security system at risk. Reasons behind Russian troops launching an attack? President Vladimir Putin warned on February 24th in a pre-dawn TV address that Russia could not feel secure, develop, or exist because of what he believed was a persistent danger from modern Ukraine. Airports and military offices were attacked immediately, following by the arrival of tanks and troops from Russia, Russian-annexed Crimea, and its ally Belarus. Warplanes are now bombing major cities. Russia refuses to use the phrases war or invasion, despite the fact that many of its leaders' arguments were wrong or unreasonable. He claimed that his goal was to protect people who had been bullied or subjected to genocide, as well as to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. In Ukraine, which is a functioning democracy led by a Jewish president, there has been no genocide. How could I be a Nazi? Russia's assault was compared by Volodymyr Zelensky to Nazi Germany's invasion of Poland during World War II. The defamation by Russia was also dismissed by Ukraine's chief rabbi and the Auschwitz Memorial. Since the fall of Ukraine's pro-Russian president, Viktor Yanukovych, in 2014, following months of anti-government protests, President Putin has repeatedly accused the country of being taken over by extremists. Russia retaliated by annexing Crimea's southern region and fomenting a rebellion in the east, backing separatists against Ukrainian troops in a war that's claimed 14,000 lives. Late in 2021, Russia began massing soldiers near Ukraine's borders, although repeatedly claiming that it intended to attack. Then in 2015, Mr. Putin canceled a peace settlement for the east and declared rebel-controlled areas independent. Russia has long opposed Ukraine's membership in the European Union and NATO, the Western military alliance. As he announced Russia's invasion, Putin accused NATO of jeopardizing our historic future as a nation. How far is Russia willing to go? Russia is clearly attempting to take the country's major cities and destabilize Ukraine's democratically elected government. The enemy has classified me as target number 1. My family is target number 2, President Zelensky added. Russia's stated goal is to free Ukraine from persecution and clear it of Nazis. Mr. Putin has spoken of bringing to justice those who committed multiple horrific crimes against people under this false narrative of a fascist-run Ukraine since 2014. His long-term plans for Ukraine remain a mystery. He denies attempting to conquer Ukraine and dismisses a January UK charge that he was planning to install a pro-Kremlin puppet. According to one unconfirmed intelligence report, he wants to divide the country in half. He faces fierce opposition from a hostile people, but has also demonstrated that he's willing to bomb residential areas in order to achieve his objectives. Although Russia's Baltic neighbors face no immediate threat, NATO has reinforced their defenses just in case. Prior to the invasion, Russia's public attention was always on the eastern areas controlled by Russian-backed rebels. However, this changed as President Putin acknowledged their independence. He not only stated that they were no longer a part of Ukraine, but he also stated that he supported their claims to considerably more Ukrainian land. The self-proclaimed People's Republic control less than a third of the Donetsk and Luhansk areas, and the insurgents want the remainder as well. Is this invasion a threat to Europe? As bombs rain down on cities and inhabitants race to Cold War-era bomb shelters, Ukrainians are terrified. Hundreds of citizens and military have already killed in what German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has branded Putin's war. Hundreds of thousands of civilians have fled across Ukraine's borders as a result of Russia's bombardment. A large influx is occurring in Poland, Hungary, Romania, Moldova, and Slovakia, with the EU estimating that more than 7 million people will be displaced. Russia's president has even placed his nuclear weapons on high alert, only days after warning the West with consequences like you have never seen if it stands in his way. The sight of a great power attacking a European neighbor for the first time in decades is terrifying for the entire continent. Volodymyr Zelensky, recalling the Cold War, said Ukraine was fighting to prevent a new Iron Curtain from separating Russia from the rest of the world. This invasion has given Europe's leaders some of the darkest hours since World War II. Emmanuel Macron of France has spoken of a watershed moment in European history, while Olaf Scholz of Germany has warned that Putin wants a Russian empire. What options does the West have? There are no preparations to send combat troops to Ukraine, according to NATO's defense alliance. However, member countries have provided guns and field hospitals, and the EU is buying and sending arms and other equipment for the first time in its history. NATO has sent tens of thousands of troops to the Baltic nations and Poland, and is activating a portion of its much bigger quick response force for the first time. NATO would not announce where the troops would be sent, but some may be sent to Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Slovakia. At the same time, the West is concentrating its efforts on the Russian economy, financial institutions, and individuals. What exactly do Putin's want? He's demanded not just that Ukraine never join NATO, but that the alliance turn back the clock to 1997 and stop expanding eastward. Do they think we'll just sit idly by, he said, complaining that Russia had nowhere else to flee to? He wants NATO to withdraw its forces and military infrastructure from member states that joined the alliance after 1997, and to refrain from deploying strike weapons near Russia's borders. That includes Central and Eastern Europe, as well as the Baltic states. But this isn't just about NATO. Russia's leader, in the words of Germany's chancellor, quote, wants to take over Europe according to his worldview. That's all for today. See you next time with a lot more. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.